My name is Miriam Blackwood. I'm 62 years old, and I just did something no one thought a gentle mother like me would ever dare to do. Imagine going away for just 1 week to care for your sick sister, then coming home to your house, the house your late husband left you, only to discover your daughter-in-law has moved in, changed everything, and declared it's now hers. When you protest, she threatens to never let you see your son again. What would you do? Give in? Beg for mercy? Or sell the whole damn house? Yes, I chose option 3, and what happened next had the entire neighborhood talking for months. Before we dive into my story, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you truly enjoy this story. I'd love to know where you're watching from and what time it is there right now. Is it morning coffee time? Late night when you can't sleep? Share in the comments below. Now let me take you back to that chilly October afternoon in Portland when my entire world turned upside down. I woke up at 7 that morning, just like every other morning for the past 3 years since Thomas passed. The Victorian house felt enormous around me, 4,500 square feet of memories echoing through empty rooms. I made my Earl Grey tea the way Thomas taught me, with just a touch of honey, and sat by the bay window overlooking the rose garden he'd planted for our 20th anniversary. The roses were still blooming, defiant against the October chill. Thomas would have been proud. He always said roses were like marriages. They needed constant care, but could survive almost anything if the roots were strong enough. I touched my wedding ring, still on my finger after 3 years of widowhood. My eyes drifted to the family photo on the mantel, Garrett's college graduation. That was the last time he looked genuinely happy around me. 5 years ago now, before Delilah entered our lives and everything changed. 3 years since he'd visited, not even for his father's funeral anniversary. The distance between us felt wider than the 3,000 miles from Portland to his tech job in Austin. My phone buzzed on the side table. Vivian's name lit up the screen. Need emergency surgery. Complications from the car accident last month. Can you come to Seattle? I'm scared, Mary. My little sister never admitted fear. If she was scared, it was serious. I was already heading upstairs to pack before I finished reading the message. The house could wait. The loneliness could wait. Vivian needed me. I tried calling Garrett while throwing clothes into my overnight bag. Straight to voicemail, as usual. I left a detailed message. Hi, sweetheart, it's Mom. Aunt Vivian needs emergency surgery, so I'm heading to Seattle for about a week. The house will be empty, but everything's locked up tight. I love you. Please call me back when you can. I paused at Thomas's study door before leaving. His will was still in the safe, along with all those special provisions Harold Pemberton kept mentioning that I'd never bothered to read thoroughly. Thomas always handled the legal stuff. Maybe I should have paid more attention. But grief has a way of making you avoid anything that reminds you of loss. I locked every door, checked every window, and set the alarm. The house would be fine for a week. What could possibly go wrong? The flight to Seattle took less than an hour, but my mind raced the entire time. Vivian had been my rock after Thomas died, calling every day, flying in for every holiday. She was the successful one, divorced but thriving, running her own commercial real estate firm, living in a downtown Seattle penthouse that cost more than most people's retirement funds. You're too isolated in that big house, she'd told me last Christmas. You need to set boundaries with Garrett and Delilah. They're taking advantage of your kindness. I'd brushed her off then. Now, sitting in the hospital waiting room while she went into surgery, her words echoed in my mind. Was I too passive? Too accepting of Garrett's absence? The surgery took 6 hours. 6 hours of pacing, praying, and checking my phone. Still nothing from Garrett. I left another voicemail, then texted him and Delilah both. At Swedish Medical Center with Aunt Vivian. Surgery complications. We'll be here all week. House alarm is set. When Vivian finally woke up, groggy but stable, she squeezed my hand. Thanks for coming, Mary. I know it's hard to leave the house. You're more important than an empty house, I told her. I spent the next 7 days in Seattle, sleeping on the uncomfortable hospital recliner, fetching ice chips, reading Vivian terrible romance novels to make her laugh. She improved daily, her strength returning with that fierce determination I'd always envied. On day 5, she said something that stuck with me. You know, Mary, sometimes the best thing you can do for ungrateful people is show them exactly what they're taking for granted. What do you mean? I mean, you're too nice. Thomas left you that house free and clear. It's worth what? 2 million? 3? And you're sitting there alone while your son lets his wife poison him against you. When are you going to stand up for yourself? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. A text from my neighbor, Mrs. Chen. Miriam, dear, there's been a lot of activity at your house. Cars coming and going. Is everything all right? My stomach dropped. I tried calling Garrett again. This time, he answered on the 3rd ring. Mom, everything's fine. We just needed to grab something from the house. How's Aunt Vivian? Grab something? Garrett, what are you talking about? You haven't been to the house in 3 years. I'll explain later. Gotta go. Bye, Mom. The line went dead. Something was very, very wrong. I took the first flight back to Portland the next morning, my hands shaking as I gripped the armrest. Mrs. Chen's texts had become increasingly alarming. Large moving truck yesterday. Young woman directing movers. Furniture going in, not out. The Uber ride from PDX seemed endless. When we finally turned onto Laurelhurst Avenue, I saw it immediately. Delilah's white Lexus SUV parked in my driveway, right where Thomas used to park his old Ford. I stood at my own front door, key trembling in my hand. Through the frosted glass, I could see shadows moving inside. My house, my sanctuary, invaded. The door opened before I could turn the key. Oh, Miriam, you're back early. Delilah stood there in a silk pajama set that probably cost more than my monthly groceries, her perfectly manicured hand resting on my doorframe like she owned it. Behind her, I could see into the living room. My breath caught. Everything was different. Thomas's leather armchair, gone. The antique coffee table his mother had given us, replaced with some modern glass monstrosity. The walls, which I'd kept the same warm cream for 20 years, were now stark white. What have you done to my house? Delilah's smile was practiced, condescending. Oh, didn't Garrett tell you? We've moved in. He said you were totally fine with it. You know, since you're all alone in this big place. It just makes sense, doesn't it? I never agreed to this. Where are Thomas's things? Those old things? Most of them are in storage, or donated. Really, Miriam, you should thank me. The place looks so much more contemporary now, more valuable. My legs felt weak. I pushed past her into what used to be my home, the dining room where we'd hosted 30 Thanksgivings, now featuring a minimalist table for 4, the kitchen where I'd taught Garrett to make cookies, now all stainless steel and sharp edges. You had no right. Actually, we have every right. Delilah's voice turned cold. Garrett's name is on the deed too, remember? Thomas made sure of that before he died. That was a lie. I knew it was a lie. Thomas had been very clear. The house was mine until I decided otherwise. But before I could respond, I heard footsteps on the stairs. Garrett appeared, avoiding my eyes like he used to when he'd broken something as a child. Mom, you're back. Garrett, what is this? How could you move into my house without even asking? He shifted uncomfortably. Delilah said you'd be happy to have us here. You're always saying you're lonely. I say I'm lonely because you never visit, not because I want you to ambush me and take over my home. Delilah stepped between us, her voice honeyed poison. Miriam, let's not be dramatic. We're family. Family helps each other. You're getting older. You need people around. What if you fell? What if something happened? I'm 62, not 92. Still, she continued, her eyes calculating, accidents happen. And honestly, this arrangement works for everyone. We need the space for when the baby comes. Baby? What baby? Garrett finally looked at me. Delilah's pregnant, Mom. 3 months. We were going to tell you properly, but nothing, Delilah interrupted. The point is, we're here now. And really, Miriam, what are you going to do? Throw out your pregnant daughter-in-law? Deny your grandchild a proper home? Imagine what people would say. The room spun. I gripped the back of what used to be my chair, now some uncomfortable modern thing. I want you out, both of you. You have 3 days. Delilah laughed. Actually laughed. Or what? You'll call the police on your own son? Take us to court? Miriam, be realistic. No judge is going to evict a pregnant woman. Besides, her voice dropped to a whisper, do you really want to never see your grandchild? Never have Garrett in your life again? Because that's what'll happen if you fight this. I looked at my son, really looked at him for the first time in 3 years. When had he become this stranger? The boy who used to defend kids from bullies now couldn't even defend his own mother from his wife's cruelty. Garrett, can we talk alone? Delilah's grip on his arm tightened. Whatever you need to say to Garrett, you can say in front of me. We don't have secrets. This is between me and my son. Your son? You mean my husband? The father of my child? She turned to Garrett. Baby, I'm feeling a little dizzy. The stress isn't good for the pregnancy. Immediately, Garrett's attention shifted. Do you need to sit down? Should I get you some water? I just need you here with me, she said, shooting me a triumphant look over his shoulder. I watched this performance with growing disgust. The dizzy spell that appeared and disappeared at convenient moments. The hand placed strategically on her still flat stomach. The way Garrett jumped at her every command. Garrett, I tried again. This is still my house. Your father left it to me. You know that. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Mom, why are you being so difficult? We're offering to help you. You won't be alone anymore. Delilah can help with cooking and cleaning. I've been cooking and cleaning for 40 years. I don't need help. You're being selfish, Delilah interjected. Garrett works so hard to provide for us. The least you can do is share this massive house. What do you need all this space for anyway? To sit around feeling sorry for yourself? The cruelty of her words hit like a physical blow. Thomas and I had bought this house planning to fill it with children. We'd only been blessed with Garrett, but every room held a purpose, a memory, a piece of our life together. How dare you? Mom, please. Garrett finally spoke up, but not in my defense. Delilah's right. Dad's been gone 3 years. You need to move on. Having us here is good for you. Good for me? You changed everything. Thomas's chair, his books, the pictures. Those things aren't healthy, Mom. You're living in the past. I stared at this stranger wearing my son's face. Your father built this life for us. These aren't just things, they're memories. And that's the problem, Delilah snapped. You're stuck in the past while we're trying to build a future. This house could be amazing for our family, our growing family, but not with you clutching onto every dusty relic. Then buy your own house. With what money? Delilah laughed bitterly. Do you know how much houses cost now? We've been saving for years and can barely afford a down payment on a condo. Meanwhile, you're sitting on a fortune you don't even need. So this is about money? It's about family, Garrett said weakly. About sharing what we have. What we have? This is what I have. What your father left me. Delilah's eyes narrowed. Actually, you might want to check that will again. I had my lawyer look into it. Very interesting terms about family inheritance and provisions for grandchildren. My blood ran cold. You had a lawyer look at my husband's will? Our family lawyer, she corrected. And he says Garrett has more claim to this house than you might think, especially once the baby comes. This was a lie. It had to be. But the confidence in her voice, the smirk on her face. Get out, I said quietly. You have 3 days. We're not going anywhere, Delilah said firmly. And if you try to force us out, you'll never see your grandchild. Ever. Garrett, tell her. My son, my baby boy, looked at me with cold eyes. Mom, Delilah's my wife. Our child comes first. If you can't accept that, then maybe we don't need you in our lives. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. I turned and walked to my bedroom, the one room they hadn't touched yet, and locked the door behind me. At that moment, my heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. 35 years of loving him, sacrificing for him, building my whole world around him. And this was my reward? Being threatened and bullied in my own home? Have you ever felt like the people you love most have become strangers? Like everything you did for them meant nothing? I stood in my bedroom looking at Garrett's baby pictures, wondering where I went wrong. If you're watching and this story touches your heart, please like and subscribe to support me. Tell me in the comments, what would you do? Accept this treatment to keep your family together? Or fight for your dignity? The story gets even more intense from here. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat at Thomas's desk. They hadn't touched his study yet, probably because it was locked, and pulled out his will. Harold Pemberton's business card was still paper-clipped to the front. Harold answered on the second ring, even though it was past 9 p.m. "Miriam, is everything all right?" "No, Harold, nothing's all right." I explained the situation, my voice breaking when I described finding Delilah in my home. "They did what?" Harold's usually calm voice rose. "Miriam, I'm coming over first thing tomorrow. Don't sign anything. Don't agree to anything. Delilah says Garrett has claim to the house, that her lawyer—" "Miriam, stop. I wrote Thomas's will myself. I know every word, every clause. Can you meet me at my office at 8 a.m.? The next morning, I slipped out before Delilah and Garrett woke. Harold's office hadn't changed in 20 years, all dark wood and leather-bound books. He had the will spread across his desk, along with several other documents. "First, let me ease your mind," he began. "The house is yours, completely and unequivocally. Thomas was very specific about that." "But Delilah said—" "Delilah lied." He pulled out a page. "However, Thomas did add an interesting provision 6 months before he passed. He must have sensed something about your daughter-in-law." I leaned forward, reading where he pointed. "In the event that family members violate the personal boundaries and safety of the surviving spouse through coercion, manipulation, or unauthorized occupation of the marital home, the surviving spouse maintains full right to sell, transfer, or otherwise dispose of the property without restriction or requirement for family consent." Thomas wrote this? He did, and there's more. Harold opened a sealed envelope marked "For Miriam, open only in case of family conflict." My hands shook as I read Thomas's handwriting. "My dearest Miriam, if you're reading this, it means I was right about Delilah. I've watched her manipulate our son, isolate him from us, and I fear what she'll do when I'm gone. You're too kind, too trusting, but you're also stronger than you know. This house is your sanctuary. Don't let anyone, not even Garrett, take that from you. I've made sure you have every legal protection possible. Use them. You deserve peace, respect, and dignity in your own home. Fight for yourself, my love. I'll be cheering you on from wherever I am. Forever yours, Thomas." Tears streamed down my face. Even in death, Thomas was protecting me. "What are my options, Harold?" "Several. You could file for eviction, though that's messy with family. You could call the police for trespassing, or—" He paused. "You could exercise your absolute right to sell." "Sell? But this is my home." "Sometimes, Miriam, the best way to save something is to let it go. Think about it. The house is worth at least $2 million in this market. Maybe more. You could buy something smaller, something that's truly yours, and never have to deal with this again." "But then Delilah wins." Harold smiled. "Does she? She wants the house. If you sell it to someone else, she gets nothing. And with the profit, you could live comfortably anywhere you choose." I thought about Vivian's words. Sometimes the best thing you can do for ungrateful people is show them exactly what they're taking for granted. How fast could I sell it? In this market, with the right buyer, very fast. But Miriam, this is a big decision. They changed Thomas's chair, Harold. They threw away his books. They're erasing him from his own home. Harold's face hardened. "Then perhaps it's time to show them that actions have consequences. I know an excellent realtor. Very discreet, very efficient." "Call them," I said, surprising myself with my firmness. "Call them now." Over the next 3 days, Delilah's behavior escalated from entitled to absolutely brazen. She hosted a dinner party, in my house, introducing herself to the neighbors as the new lady of the house, while I was relegated to my bedroom, like some elderly relative hidden away from polite company. Mrs. Chen knocked on my bedroom door that evening, sneaking away from the party. "Miriam, what's happening? That woman is telling everyone you're having memory issues, that you invited them to move in but forgot. She's lying, Mrs. Chen. I know that, dear, but she's very convincing. She's even showing people legal documents. The humiliation burned. These were my neighbors, people who'd attended Thomas's funeral, brought casseroles when I was grieving. Now they were drinking wine in my living room while Delilah painted me as a senile old woman. The next morning, I found her in Thomas's study, photographing his vintage book collection. "What are you doing?" "Oh, just cataloging things for insurance," she said breezily. But I saw the Facebook Marketplace app open on her phone. "Those books aren't yours to catalog." "Everything in this house is family property now." She picked up Thomas's first edition Hemingway. "These dusty old things are worth a fortune. Seems selfish to keep them locked away when they could fund your grandchild's college fund. Put that down." She did, but only to pick up something worse, our wedding album. "You were pretty once. Thomas was quite handsome. Shame Garrett didn't inherit his backbone." "Don't you dare." "What?" "Speak the truth. Your son is weak, Miriam. That's why he needs me. Someone has to make the hard decisions in this family." "Like stealing my home?" "Like securing our child's future. Do you have any idea how much this house is worth? $3 million at least. That's generational wealth just sitting here while you play the grieving widow. Get out of this room, now." She laughed. "Or what? You'll call Garrett? Go ahead." I did call him. He was at work but answered immediately when Delilah texted him I was having an episode. "Mom, you need to calm down." "I'm perfectly calm. Your wife is trying to sell your father's belongings." "She's just organizing things. The house is cluttered." "Garrett, please, come home. We need to talk without her." "I can't just leave work because you're having adjustment issues." "Adjustment issues? They've stolen my home." "No one stole anything, Mom. We're trying to help you. Delilah says you were confused this morning, that you didn't remember agreeing to let us move in." "That's because I never agreed." "Mom." His voice took on that condescending tone I'd never heard before Delilah. "Maybe you should see someone. Memory issues at your age aren't uncommon." The betrayal cut deeper than any knife. My own son was gaslighting me. That afternoon, Delilah escalated further. She changed the locks on Thomas's study. When I confronted her, she claimed it was for my safety. "There are valuable things in there. If you're having memory problems, you might misplace them." "I'm not having memory problems." "Then why did you tell Mrs. Chen we moved in without permission?" "Garrett clearly remembers discussing this with you." The next evening at dinner, which she insisted we all eat together as a family, she delivered her ultimate ultimatum. "Miriam, we've been thinking. This house is really too much for all of us. The stairs are dangerous for someone your age. There's a lovely assisted living community called Sunset Manor, very upscale. We could tour it tomorrow." "I'm not moving to a nursing home." "It's not a nursing home. It's a senior community. Active seniors, just like you." Her smile was venomous. "Unless you'd prefer to stay here, in which case we'll need to make some adjustments, starting with moving you to the ground floor. The basement has that nice little apartment area." Garrett said nothing, just pushed food around his plate. "This is my house," I said quietly. "For now," Delilah replied, "but things change, especially when mental competency comes into question." The next morning, I woke to find myself locked out of the master bedroom's walk-in closet. My closet, where my clothes, jewelry, and most importantly, Thomas's letters were kept. "Oh, did I forget to mention?" Delilah said sweetly when I confronted her at breakfast. "We needed the extra storage for baby things. Your clothes are in the guest room closet now, the ones that still fit anyway." "You went through my clothes?" "Someone had to. Half of them were from the 90s. Really, Miriam, it was like a museum in there." "Where are Thomas's letters?" "What letters?" "The letters he wrote me. They were in a box on the top shelf." "Oh, those old papers? I think they might be in the basement, or maybe we recycled them. There was so much junk." I ran to the basement, my heart pounding. Boxes were scattered everywhere, my life reduced to hastily labeled storage containers. Old photos, miscellaneous papers, donate. I found the letters, thank God, thrown carelessly in a box marked Trash. My hands shook as I held them. 40 years of love letters, anniversary cards, little notes Thomas would leave in my lunch bag when I worked at the library. Found them? Delilah stood at the top of the stairs. Good. Now you can sort through them properly. Keep what's important, toss the rest. We need the space. That evening she presented me with a document. Just a little household agreement about responsibilities, boundaries, that sort of thing. I read it in growing horror. It essentially made me a tenant in my own home, with restricted access to common areas and quiet hours that meant I couldn't even watch TV after 8 p.m. I'm not signing this. Not. Then we'll have to reconsider our living arrangement, she said coolly. Garrett's been offered a promotion, but it requires traveling. I couldn't possibly stay here alone while pregnant. We'd have to move back to Austin, and you'd never see your grandchild. You're threatening me. I'm being practical. Sign the agreement, follow the rules, and everyone's happy. Fight us, and you'll die alone in this museum of a house. Garrett walked in then, home from work. What's going on? Your mother's being stubborn about the household agreement, Delilah said, her voice suddenly fragile. I'm just trying to make sure everyone's comfortable, but she seems to want us gone. Mom, just sign it. It's not a big deal. I looked at my son, searching for any trace of the boy who used to defend me against playground bullies who made fun of my accent when we first moved to Portland. That boy was gone. Garrett, do you remember what your father used to say about this house? He shifted uncomfortably. Mom, he said it would always be our sanctuary, our safe place. Do you remember? That was a long time ago. 3 years, Garrett. Just 3 years. Things change, Mom. I have my own family now. And I'm not your family anymore? Delilah interjected. Of course you are. That's why we're here, to take care of you. You're not taking care of me. You're erasing me. Piece by piece, room by room, you're erasing my entire life. You're being dramatic, Delilah sighed. Garrett, I'm feeling dizzy again. The stress. Immediately, he was at her side. Let's get you to bed. Mom, we'll talk about this tomorrow. As they walked away, I heard Delilah whisper, maybe Sunset Manor would be better for everyone. She's clearly not stable. That night, I sat in Thomas's study, the one room still locked against them, though for how long, and made my decision. I pulled out my phone and texted Harold, I want to sell as soon as possible. His response was immediate. I'll have the realtor there first thing in the morning, discreetly. Then I called Vivian. Remember what you said about showing ungrateful people what they're taking for granted? I remember. I'm ready to do it, but I might need your help. Anything, Miri. What do you need? I need you to be ready to buy a house. There was a pause, then a laugh. Oh, this is going to be good. How much? Whatever it takes to make a point. I love you, big sister. Let's show them what Blackwood women are made of. The realtor, Patricia Winters, arrived at 6 a.m. sharp the next morning, before Delilah and Garrett were awake. She was exactly what I needed, professional, discreet, and after hearing my story, absolutely determined to help. Mrs. Blackwood, in this market, your house will sell in days, maybe hours. It's a Victorian gem in Laurelhurst. Developers would kill for this property. I don't want developers. I want someone who'll love it. I might have an idea, Patricia said carefully. But first, let's talk numbers. The house is worth at least $2.3 million as is, but if we create a bidding situation... Whatever it takes. I just need it done quickly and publicly. Patricia smiled. How publicly are we talking? Big sign on the lawn publicly. Open house with lots of foot traffic publicly. That'll certainly send a message. When do you want to list? Today. She didn't even blink. I'll need you to sign some papers. And Mrs. Blackwood, given the situation, I'd suggest we include a clause that the current occupants must vacate within 30 days of sale. Make it ironclad. As we finished the paperwork, my phone rang. Vivian. Mary, I've been thinking. How much do you need for the house? Market value is $2.3 million. I'll give you double. Vivian, no. That's insane. No, it's justice. And it's an investment. That neighborhood's only going up. Besides, I've been looking for a Portland property. This solves multiple problems. I can't let you... You're not letting me do anything. I'm a grown woman with more money than I know what to do with. Let me help you stick it to that gold digger." Patricia overheard, and her eyes widened. "If you have a cash buyer at double market value, we can close in a week." "But I need the public show first," I insisted. "I need Delilah to sweat." Vivian laughed. "Oh, I like this new you. Okay, here's what we do. List it publicly, let her panic, then I'll swoop in with an offer she can't match. But Miri, we need to make sure she can't claim any rights to the proceeds." "Harold's already on that," I assured her. "The will is ironclad. The house is mine alone." That afternoon, while Delilah was at her prenatal yoga class and Garrett was at work, Patricia's team arrived. The sign went up. Massive, impossible to miss. For sale, premier Victorian estate. I sat on the porch with a cup of tea, waiting. Delilah's Lexus screeched to a halt at 3:47 p.m. She sat in the car for a full minute staring at the sign before storming up the walkway. "What the hell is this?" "I'm selling the house." "You can't sell the house. We live here." "You've lived here for exactly 11 days without my permission. That doesn't give you any rights." Her face went from red to white. "Garrett will never forgive you." "That's his choice." She pulled out her phone, frantically calling Garrett. I could hear her shrieking even from where I sat. Within 20 minutes, his car pulled up. "Mom, what are you doing?" He looked genuinely shocked. "What I should have done the day you two ambushed me. I'm selling my house." "You can't just sell our home." "Your home? You haven't lived here in 3 years, Garrett. You moved in without asking, changed everything without permission, and let your wife threaten to put me in a nursing home. This isn't your home. It's my prison. Mom, please, Delilah's pregnant. Where will we go?" "The same place you lived before you stole mine. Your apartment." "We gave up the apartment. We thought we were living here now." "Then you thought wrong." Delilah was on her phone with someone, speaking rapidly. "My lawyer says you can't do this. We're residents now. We have rights." Patricia stepped out onto the porch. "Actually, you don't. You have no lease, no agreement, and the owner has asked you to leave. You're technically trespassing." "Who the hell are you?" "The realtor. And we already have 3 offers. Cash buyers, very motivated." That was a lie, but Delilah didn't know that. Her face went pale. By 7 the next morning, the entire neighborhood knew. The sign was impossible to miss, and Patricia had made sure the online listing went viral in local real estate groups. "Stunning Victorian in Laurelhurst, price to sell fast." I was drinking my coffee on the porch when the circus began. Delilah ran out in her silk pajamas, barefoot, trying to block the photographer Patricia had hired to take listing photos. "You can't do this. This is our home." The photographer, clearly briefed by Patricia, continued shooting. "Ma'am, I'm authorized by the owner. Please step aside." Mrs. Chen and several other neighbors had gathered on the sidewalk, phones out, recording everything. The mighty Delilah, who just days ago had been playing Queen of the Manor, was now shrieking like a banshee in designer sleepwear. "Miriam!" She spun to face me. "You vindictive old bitch! You're destroying your own son's life!" "Language, Delilah. What will the neighbors think?" Garrett's car screeched up to the curb. He'd clearly left work in a panic, still wearing his ID badge. "Mom, stop this, please. We can work this out." "We had 11 days to work it out. You chose to gaslight me instead." "I never—" "Memory issues, Garrett. Suggesting I need psychiatric help? That was your idea or hers?" He had the decency to look ashamed. "Delilah said you were confused." "The only thing I was confused about was how I raised a son who would betray his mother so completely." Patricia emerged from the house with her tablet. "Mrs. Blackwood, we have 5 offers already. One is particularly interesting. 4.6 million, cash, closing in 5 days." Delilah grabbed Garrett's arm. "That's double the market value. Something's not right. This is fraud." "It's a free market," Patricia said smoothly. "The buyer is very motivated, a successful businesswoman from Seattle who's been looking for a Portland property." I kept my face neutral, but inside I was cheering. Vivian was playing this perfectly. "We'll match it," Delilah shouted desperately. Whatever they're offering, we'll match it." "With what money?" I asked quietly. "The money you were going to get from selling Thomas's books? Or were you planning to wait until I died and inherit it?" "How dare you?" "No! How dare you?" I stood up, my voice carrying across the yard. "You moved into my home without permission. You threw away my husband's belongings. You tried to lock me out of rooms in my own house. You threatened to put me in a nursing home. And you turned my son against me." The neighbors were recording everything. Tomorrow, this would be all over the neighborhood Facebook group. "Garrett," I continued, "you have a choice. You can leave with dignity, find your own place, and maybe salvage our relationship. Or you can keep enabling her and lose your mother forever." "Mom, she's carrying your grandchild." "Is she?" I asked. "Has anyone seen proof? Been to a doctor's appointment? Seen an ultrasound?" Delilah's face went red. "How dare you question my pregnancy?" "Show us the ultrasound then. I don't have to prove anything to you." Garrett looked between us, confusion dawning. "Delilah, you have the ultrasound photos on your phone. Just show her." I deleted them by accident." "You deleted ultrasound photos of our baby?" "I'll get new ones at the next appointment." "When is that?" Next month." I watched my son's face change as puzzle pieces clicked into place. "Delilah, are you pregnant?" "Of course I am. How can you even ask that?" "Because you've been drinking wine every night, because you haven't had any morning sickness, because you haven't seen a doctor." "I have a doctor." "What's their name?" she stammered, caught. You're taking her side over mine?" Patricia cleared her throat. "The buyer wants to know if you'll accept their offer. They're ready to sign today." "Yes," I said firmly. "I accept." Delilah let out a scream of pure rage. "You'll regret this, both of you. I'll sue. I'll take everything." "Good luck with that," Patricia said. "By the way, the new owner wants you out in 30 days. That's generous. They could demand immediate eviction for trespassing." Can you imagine that scene? My daughter-in-law standing in the front yard in her pajamas, screaming while the whole neighborhood watched her empire of lies crumble. Garrett finally seeing through her manipulation, and me, for the first time in 3 years, feeling truly alive. Was I too harsh, or was this long overdue? Comment below with your thoughts. Have you ever had to stand up to a toxic family member? How did you find the courage? If this story resonates with you, please like and subscribe. Share it with someone who needs to hear that it's never too late to reclaim your power. Now let me tell you about the biggest shock of all. 3 days later, the closing was set. Delilah had hired a lawyer, some ambulance chaser who took one look at the paperwork and told her she had no case. Garrett had moved into a hotel, telling Delilah he needed space to think. She was frantically packing, alternating between tearful calls to Garrett and venomous texts to me. The closing was scheduled for 2 p.m. at Harold's office. I arrived early, nervous but determined. Harold had everything ready. Papers spread across the conference table, his assistant standing by as a witness. "The buyer will be here shortly," he said with a strange smile. "I think you'll be pleased." At exactly 2 p.m., the door opened. I expected Patricia with some stranger. Instead, Vivian walked in, dressed in her power suit, looking every inch the successful businesswoman she was. "Hello, sister." Delilah, who'd been camping outside the office hoping to stop the sale, burst in behind her. "I knew it! This is fraud! You two conspired!" "It's called a legal real estate transaction," Vivian said coolly. "I'm paying $4.6 million for a property worth half that. If anything, I'm the one being taken advantage of." "You can't do this!" "Watch me." Vivian signed the papers with a flourish. "As of now, I own the house, and as the new owner, I'm giving you exactly 30 days to vacate. Not 31, not 30 and a half, 30. Garrett had arrived, looking haggard. "Aunt Vivian, you're the buyer?" Someone had to stop this travesty. She turned to him. "Your father would be ashamed of you, Garrett. He was a good man who treated your mother like a queen. And you let this gold digger turn you against her." "She's not a gold digger. She's my wife." "Really?" Then why did my investigator find out she was married before, and that she pulled the same scam on her elderly former mother-in-law in Texas? The room went silent. Delilah's face drained of color. That's not true. Vivian pulled out a folder. Marriage certificate to Marcus Webb, 2018. Divorced 2020 after his mother sold her house to escape Delilah's manipulation. Sound familiar? Garrett sank into a chair. Delilah? It wasn't like that. Marcus's mother was actually senile. So you admit it happened? Delilah realized her mistake too late. Garrett, baby, that was different. I love you. Do you? Or do you love the inheritance you thought I'd get? Garrett's voice was hollow. The pregnancy. It's fake, isn't it? I was going to get pregnant. Eventually. Get out, Garrett said quietly. Pack your things and get out. You can't throw me out. I'm your wife. Not for long. He looked at Harold. Can you recommend a divorce attorney? Delilah turned her fury on me. This is all your fault. You poisoned him against me. No, I said quietly. You did that all by yourself. But the biggest surprise was yet to come. Vivian turned to me with another document. Miriam, this is a lease agreement for the renovated first-floor apartment that will be ready in 6 weeks. Rent-free, for life, with complete autonomy and privacy. Vivian, I can't. You can and you will. The house is too big for me alone. I need my sister close by. Besides, she smiled, someone needs to help me maintain Thomas's rose garden. Tears streamed down my face. You're keeping the roses? Every single one, and his study will be restored exactly as it was. I have photos from before the invasion. Delilah made one last desperate attempt. You can't kick out a pregnant woman. Vivian laughed. You're right. Good thing you're not pregnant. She pulled out another paper. Your gym membership records show you've been in intensive spin classes all week. No pregnant woman does that. How did you... I own a real estate empire, dear. I have resources, and I protect my family. The papers were signed. The house was sold. Delilah had 30 days to disappear from our lives. As we left the office, Garrett approached me hesitantly. Mom, I'm so sorry. I don't expect forgiveness, but you're my son, I said simply. I'll always love you, but you need to earn my trust again. I will, I promise. And for the first time in years, I believed he might actually try. Vivian's plan unfolded with military precision. Within days, contractors arrived to begin the renovation. The house would be divided into 2 living spaces, a beautiful ground-floor apartment for me with its own entrance, kitchen, and access to the garden, and the upper floors for Vivian. But we'll share the main kitchen for holidays, she insisted, and Sunday dinners, non-negotiable. Delilah, meanwhile, was falling apart. Her lawyer had confirmed what Harold said. The prenup she'd signed without reading, too eager to marry into what she thought was money, left her with nothing in case of divorce due to fraud or deception. Garrett had hired a forensic accountant who discovered she'd already been siphoning money from their joint account into a private one. She had an exit strategy from day one, Garrett told me over coffee a week after the sale. We were meeting at a neutral location, a small cafe downtown. The pregnancy was supposed to be her insurance policy. Get pregnant, secure her position, then slowly take over everything. How did you not see it? He stared into his cup. I did see it, Mom. Part of me knew. But she was so beautiful, so confident. She made me feel important. And after Dad died, when you were so sad all the time, she was an escape. I wasn't sad all the time. Mom, you were, and you had every right to be. But I was grieving too, and I didn't know how to handle it. Delilah made the grief go away, or at least she distracted me from it. By turning you against me? By making me believe you were the reason for my unhappiness. It was easier to blame you than to face my own pain. He looked up, tears in his eyes. I'm in therapy now, trying to understand how I let this happen. That's a good start. Mom, the things I said, the way I treated you, were unforgivable. I finished, but not irredeemable. There's a difference. Meanwhile, Delilah's 30 days were ticking down. She'd tried everything, calling Garrett hundreds of times, showing up at his work, even faking a pregnancy scare that landed her in the ER. Each desperate move only pushed him further away. On day 25, she played her final card. She called me. "Miriam, please, I have nowhere to go." "That's not my problem. I'll be homeless. You have a degree, work experience, and the money you stole from my son. You'll be fine." "I never meant for it to go this far." "Yes, you did. You studied us, planned this, executed it perfectly. The only thing you didn't count on was me fighting back." "I grew up with nothing," she said quietly. "You don't understand what that's like." "You're right, I don't. But I do understand what it's like to build something with love and hard work. Thomas and I started with nothing too. We just chose to earn our way instead of stealing from others." "I loved Garrett." "No, you loved what he represented. Security, money, a weak man you could control." There was a long pause. "You're stronger than I thought. Every woman is when pushed far enough. What would it take for you to forgive me?" "Nothing. I don't forgive you, but I also don't hate you. You're just nothing to me now." That might have been the cruelest thing I'd ever said to anyone, but it was also the truest. On day 30, Delilah left. She packed her Lexus, leased it turned out, and about to be repossessed, and drove away. Garrett served her with divorce papers at the same time. She signed without protest, perhaps realizing she'd burned every bridge and had no moves left. The renovation was completed 2 weeks later. My new apartment was perfect, smaller than the whole house but still spacious, with French doors opening to Thomas's rose garden. Vivian had kept her promise. Every rose was thriving. "Welcome home, Mary," Vivian said, handing me the keys. "The real home, the one where you're respected, valued, and loved." That night, I cooked dinner in my new kitchen. Garrett came over, tentatively, still earning his way back into my life. Vivian joined us, and for the first time in years, I felt like I had a family again. A different family, scarred but healing, but mine nonetheless. 2 months after Delilah left, Garrett received a call from a number he didn't recognize. It was Marcus Webb, her first ex-husband. "I heard she tried the same thing with your family," Marcus said. "I wanted to warn you, she'll be back. She always comes back when she's desperate." He was right. 3 weeks later, Delilah showed up at the house, my former house, now Vivian's, looking nothing like the polished manipulator we'd known. Her designer clothes were gone, replaced with ill-fitting jeans and a wrinkled t-shirt. The Lexus had been replaced with an old Honda. Vivian answered the door. I watched from my apartment's window. "I need to talk to Garrett," Delilah said. "He doesn't live here." "Then Miriam, please." "She doesn't want to see you." "I'm pregnant, for real this time." Vivian laughed. "And I'm the Queen of England. Go away, Delilah." "I can prove it." She pulled out an ultrasound photo. Vivian studied it. "This is dated 3 weeks ago. You've been divorced for 2 months. That baby isn't Garrett's." Delilah's face crumbled. I need help." "Then I suggest you contact the actual father. Or better yet, get a job." "No one will hire me. Somehow everyone knows what I did here. Every interview, they ask about the situation with my previous living arrangement." "Ah, yes," Vivian smiled. "Amazing how word travels in professional circles. Real estate, tech, finance. Such small worlds." "You blacklisted me?" "I didn't have to. You blacklisted yourself when you tried to defraud a prominent Portland family. Did you really think there wouldn't be consequences?" "This is illegal. I'll sue." "With what lawyer? With what money? And on what grounds? That people found out you're a con artist?" I decided to step outside. Delilah's eyes widened when she saw me. "Miriam, please. I'm desperate." "I know. Then help me. You're a good person. Good people help others." "Good people also protect themselves from predators, which is what you are, Delilah, a predator who targets vulnerable families." "I'm pregnant and alone." "Choices have consequences. You chose to lie, manipulate, and steal. These are your consequences." She turned to make one last plea, but stopped when she saw Garrett's car pulling up. He got out with a woman, pretty, but in a natural way, wearing scrubs. A nurse from his therapy group, I'd later learn. Delilah? He looked shocked. What are you doing here? Garrett, thank God. I need to talk to you. We have nothing to talk about. I'm pregnant. Not mine, he said flatly. I had myself tested after the divorce. I'm sterile. Have been for years. Childhood injury I never told you about because you never asked about having kids until you needed to trap me. The lie was brilliant. Garrett wasn't sterile. I'd seen the test results when he worried about it years ago. But Delilah didn't know that. Her face went white. You knew? I suspected. You never actually wanted children. You wanted leverage. I loved you. No, you loved my mother's house. You loved the inheritance you thought was coming. You loved the idea of never having to work again. The woman with Garrett stepped forward. We need to go, Garrett. We'll be late for dinner. Of course. Mom, Aunt Vivian, this is Sarah. Sarah, my family. Sarah smiled warmly. Mrs. Blackwood, I've heard so much about you. I'm so sorry for everything you went through. Thank you, dear. Are you joining us for Sunday dinner? If that's okay? More than okay. Delilah watched this exchange with dawning realization. She'd been replaced, not just as Garrett's wife, but as a member of the family. Her spot at the table, her role in our lives, gone. This isn't over, she hissed. Yes, it is, Vivian said. And if you come here again, I'll call the police. You're trespassing. Delilah left, but not before throwing one last barb. You'll all regret this. When I'm successful, when I have everything, you'll wish you'd helped me. No, I said quietly. We won't think of you at all. And I meant it. She'd taken up enough space in our lives. It was time to fill that space with something better. Love, trust, and the kind of family that Thomas would have been proud of. 6 months after the sale, my life had transformed completely. The apartment Vivian created for me was perfect. A sanctuary that honored Thomas's memory while giving me space to create new ones. Every morning, I tended the roses, each bloom reminding me that beautiful things could survive harsh treatment and bloom again. Garrett came for dinner every Sunday, sometimes with Sarah, sometimes alone. We were rebuilding slowly, carefully, like restoring a shattered vase. The cracks would always be visible, but perhaps that made it more valuable, more real. Mom, he said one evening as we sat in the garden, I've been thinking about Dad a lot. Oh? About how he treated you, how he loved you. I had that example my whole life, and I still chose wrong. We all make mistakes, Garrett. Not like mine. I betrayed you for someone who was obviously using me. Dad would be so disappointed. I thought about Thomas's letter, the one warning me about Delilah. Your father saw it coming, but he also knew you'd have to learn for yourself. How do you know? I went inside and returned with another letter, one I hadn't shared before. It was addressed to Garrett, with instructions to give it to him when he's ready to hear it. His hands shook as he read his father's words. Son, if your mother is giving you this, it means you've made mistakes. Big ones, probably. That's okay. I made plenty too. What matters isn't the falling, it's the getting up. I see how that girl influences you. It worries me, but I can't protect you from your choices. What I can do is remind you of this. Your mother is the strongest woman I ever knew. If you've hurt her, make it right. If you've lost her trust, earn it back. If you've chosen someone else over her, remember that girlfriends come and go. But you only get one mother. Don't let pride keep you from apologizing. Don't let shame keep you from trying. And don't let anyone convince you that your mother is anything less than extraordinary. Love, Dad. Garrett sobbed, the first time I'd seen him cry since Thomas's funeral. He knew everything. He knew you were human, and he loved you anyway. So do I. I don't deserve it. Love isn't about deserving. It's about choosing. I choose to love you, Garrett, even when you hurt me, even when you disappeared. I never stopped loving you. I just had to love myself too." That evening, Sarah joined us for dessert. She was everything Delilah wasn't: genuine, kind, interested in others. She asked about Thomas, about the roses, about my life before Portland. She helped with dishes without being asked and complimented my apple pie recipe with sincere enthusiasm. "Your mom's amazing," she told Garrett as they were leaving. "You're lucky to have her." "I know," he said, looking at me. "I finally know." A month later, we held Thanksgiving in the main kitchen, the one Vivian and I shared for special occasions. Garrett and Sarah came, along with Harold and his wife, Mrs. Chen, and several other neighbors who'd become closer friends through the whole ordeal. As I was setting the table, Vivian pulled me aside. "You look happy, Mary, really happy." "I am. For the first time in years, I am." "Good. You deserve it. We both do." "Thank you, Viv, for everything. That's what sisters do. We save each other." During dinner, Garrett stood to make a toast. "I want to thank everyone here, but especially my mom. 6 months ago, I almost lost her to my own stupidity and someone else's manipulation. Mom, you showed me what real strength looks like. Not the loud, demanding kind that Delilah had, but the quiet, unshakable kind that comes from knowing your worth." He raised his glass. "To Miriam Blackwood, who taught me that setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's self-love, and that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is sell your house to your sister for double the market value just to make a point." Everyone laughed, even me. "To Mom," Garrett finished, "and to Dad, who made sure she'd be protected even after he was gone." "To Thomas," everyone echoed. As I looked around the table, at my son finally becoming the man his father would be proud of, at my sister who'd saved me, at friends who'd stood by me, I realized something. Delilah had tried to steal my home, but she'd actually given me something better, a chance to rebuild, to choose who belonged in my life, to discover my own strength. The house was Vivian's now, but home? Home was right here, at this table, with these people, in this moment. Setting boundaries hadn't cost me my family. It had given me back the family I deserved. So that's my story. Some of you might think I was too harsh, that I should have forgiven Delilah and given her another chance. But let me ask you this. How many times should we let someone hurt us before we say enough? Are you Team Miriam, believing that protecting yourself isn't selfish? Or Team Delilah, thinking family should forgive everything, no matter how toxic? Comment below with your thoughts. And if you've ever had to stand up to a manipulative family member, share your story. We're stronger when we support each other. Subscribe for more stories about finding strength in unexpected places.